Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe where we help and heal one day at a time. We're going to talk about brain damage. What is going on inside that narcissistic mind? I would encourage you to also see the brain damage that is caused upon us. I've done 2 videos on that so far. But as far as today, we're going to talk about the brain damage that the narcissist has. And it's kind of interesting. In their cerebral cortex, there's a very unusual thinness to that area of the brain. And that is the part of the brain that is responsible for the empathy that most humans get. And over time, as they were growing, they went through some abuse somehow that their brain started to thin in that area. And they are unable to even access empathy. So this is a key thing. Sometimes we're like, did they love me? What's going on with the new supply? Do they love them more? It's brain damage to where there is a thinness that they cannot access because of the damage that was caused. So it's just not there. It is not there. So no matter how hard they try, they will never experience it because it's gone. So that's something really important to think about, whether you're wondering what went wrong, are they happier? That new supply, their relationship is going to fall apart. Part of it is because of the other type of brain damage that the narcissist has is unusually high levels of activity going on inside the cerebral cortex. And that was analyzed at periods of rest and also during activities, tasks that they were supposed to do. So when they're at rest, that is when their brain goes into high levels of activity, and it suppresses because of the high level that they're going through. It suppresses the ability to control compulsive behaviors. And that's a lot of times why they just go out and cheat, or they just don't care about, the tasks at hand in the relationship. It's the lack of impulse control, the lack of not shouting out or saying the wrong things. So the brain damage that they have, it's kind of like that bad apple. One bad apple will ruin the whole bushel. So as far as what's going to happen in their life, what is the outcome for them? They're going to keep replacing all those apples. Except they're the bad apple that will be in any bushel that they bring into their life. So they just start exuding their rottenness, and it'll just infest whatever apples are brought into their life. So this is why I really want you to watch the other videos on the brain damage, is to be aware of the rotting that is going on inside us. Because remember, they can no longer access empathy because of the thinness in their brain. So the longer you stay in this relationship, the more brain damage you will get. And that's going to infest people in your life too. And I've gone through that. Sometimes we pick up their traits because we don't know how to handle the situation, because we've tried it for so many years to handle it the correct way, to talk through things. And so now our survival mode is just like their survival mode, where we're like, it's not worth a big argument. We just won't bring it up, or we just won't tell them certain things. And that's not who we are. Like, we'd like to tell them, or we'd like them to understand our point of view, why we did something, but they come at us in just kind of like a crazy way, to where there's no safe spot to communicate with them. So they do have actual brain damage. And I really want you to take that to heart. It's not that you weren't lovable. It's not that you did anything wrong. They just can't relate. They can't relate. And one thing with a narcissist is you have to allow them to stay. It's in the beginning of the relationship, we both kind of put each other on these pedestals, kind of like we're king and queen of the world, and we just rise to the top together. And then all of a sudden, you guys can switch genders or roles if you'd like, but in your traditional, you have the king and queen. We did this together, baby. We're on top of the world. Everything is ours. And then they're kind of like, well, I kind of really like the attention that I'm getting. and they turn into that spoiled kid where it's all about them, and they want it. So if let's say the queen gets the attention, the kings start not to like that, because they've realized how wonderful it feels to be adored. Just like, when we're going up together, we both love adoring each other. But if we do anything that makes them feel not adored, or if we're doing everything right and some outside force comes in, gives them a bad day, they'll take it out on us. And that's where the devaluation stage comes, where it starts to snowball out of effect, out of control, because of the mental state that they're in. Because remember, as we grow through life, we do need the different coping skills, and they just don't have the ability to relate, to have a good coping skill. Like if you don't know what you're figuring out, there's no good solution. It's kind of luck of the draw, and there's also like a lack of respect, because usually when you have empathy, you do respect people, because you can understand, I don't need to, voice my opinion if I think they're ugly or overweight, underweight, whatever it is. It's like, I'll respect them. I see them as a person. I don't need to knock them down. Maybe I shouldn't have had that thought, but I did. But we have the respect not to say certain things, but they have that lack of impulse control, because of when they're at rest. And this is when they cheat, or act out. Usually that's when things are going good, is because that's a period of rest. So this is an important point. When they're in that period of rest, things are going nice. That brain activity starts acting up. It starts causing them to have to react to it. Just like the adrenaline rushes, usually that's you get that rush because you need to act, you need to do something. You hear a car backfire and you think it's a gunshot. So you get that adrenaline rush, like I have to do something. And then you're like, okay, I figured out everything's okay. Or if it is a gunfight, you need to hide. So they're going through this heightened state when they're at rest. And that's why it's hard to understand when things are going good, that things fall apart. When things are going good, things fall apart, or they come at us more during those times, or they rage more. We were just trying to have a calm conversation, and this rage just comes out. And I'd like you guys to comment below on when things were good, did things fall apart more? Because it'll get to that heightened fight that you guys blow up, and maybe you go your separate ways for a while, come back together, don't come back together. But it's usually a buildup of things. That was it started from a calm, or was it started, what was the key factor that started everything? Because their increased level of activity is what causes them to act out. Just like the adrenaline rush, it causes us, we have to do something. So they have to do something. So they stay busy. That's why they can't be alone. That's why they'll delve into work to be the best, or they like to go out. They don't like to be alone because that's a period of rest. They're not the type to just go sit at the park and just kind of, meditate. They would probably hate that, see it as torture. I don't really watch TV. I'm okay not watching TV. I kind of have the news on in the background, but I don't sit and watch TV. But they have to stay busy doing something, whatever it is. Because if they get into just a calmness of when you feel that you have to react to something and there's nothing to react to, that's when you have to create it in their minds, because they got that, like, what am I reacting to? I need to react to something. I had this high level of things going on in my brain that are telling me, instead of not suppressing the impulses, when you don't have something, say, you need to control your impulses, you have the impulses. And that's what's in their brain, is impulse, impulse, impulse. And they don't have the counteraction of control it. So that's why a lot of times they'll also be alcoholics or drug users, just because they're trying to react to this thing going on inside the cerebral cortex. They're reacting to the brain waves. And sometimes we can't understand it because we have a thicker layer in our cerebral cortex that does allow us to have empathy. And please watch my other videos. Not trying to promote my channel in this, but trying to say that this really is important to understand the damage that goes on in our brains. Our amygdalas, their amygdala is also off. And they'll have stuff going on. And when they lie, it actually soothes them. So it's a need to lie. It's a need to act out however they do it, whether it's to get their ego stroked or whether it's to destroy. If you guys are ruminating or missing the person, you know the pain that you feel. And actually, have you ever had where either, the police lights go on behind you while you're driving, or that surge of, that can be kind of painful sometimes. It only lasts for a little bit, but it's like a shock to your system. And to be in like a heightened state is very uncomfortable. And they got to lower that heightened state because it's uncomfortable to them. But unfortunately, when they need something to react to in order to lower their brain activity, they'll take it out on the people that are closest to them. So that was you while you guys were together. And then, usually in the love bombing stage, they do give us a lot of attention. So we're doing activities with them or snuggling or fooling around or talking. There's not that period of rest during the love bombing stage. But that can be exhausting or expensive, or they do see us as objects. So it's like, I've already invested, I'm done. You're mine. I've already invested enough. So that brings you into your relationship, time to settle into it. But that's a period of rest. So with the new supply, it's going to be a period of rest and that's when everything's going to fall apart. Like I had mentioned in another video, if you ever wonder what's going on with this new supply, if you ever think like, man, they're so lucky, read across all of YouTube's comments from everybody across all these narcissistic channels. And each one of us were a new supply at one time. Just remember that. So the new supply, you want to know what's going to happen? Read across all these channels on what happened to the people that were the new supply at that time. Read into their lives on how many of them had a cheating mate, how many of them were lied to or gaslighted. That's what's going to happen to the new supply. When is that going to happen? Look at the comments. Some are like 28-year marriage. Some are like, after 2 years, I couldn't take it anymore. So there's no time limit. We can't predict that. We don't know the other person, their tolerance level. But just know that if you stay with a narcissist or wish this narcissist back, because they do hoover, it might even be 20 years from now. But just remember, they are brain damaged, unable, no matter how much counseling they go to, they can't thicken that part of their brain. So they can go to counseling. That part of their brain will not thicken. It's damaged. So they will never have empathy. They also said that the amount of thinness was correlated with the amount of lack of empathy. So sometimes they can reflect a little bit. Sometimes they can have some empathy. Just depends on the difference of the level of the thickness. So the severity of their brain damage will be the best predictor of what the relationship is like. So my guess, this is my take, is these long marriages that are like 40 years, finally the person's like, I can't take it anymore. They probably had a little bit thicker part of their cerebral cortex that let just enough empathy out, or they were really good manipulators. So And also it depends on the other person. But a very thin portion will probably be one of those relationships that end quicker, where there's quick to physical abuse in the first 1 to 5 years. Others might be longer. That's just my take on it. But the other stuff is scientific, something to think about, that that bad apple will replace other apples as they get rotten. They're no good anymore. They still think that they're that king at the top. And they expect that. But remember, we went into this thinking, we're doing this together. We're on top of the world together. And all of a sudden they're like, I just want it all to myself. They become self-absorbed, always have been, but they didn't think about the outcome when they started rising with us, putting each other on a pedestal. Maybe they even used us to get to the top. Maybe we had the social status, maybe we had the money, maybe we had the looks, whatever it was. We got to be king and queen of the world because, you know, there's probably something from both of us if we can achieve that. But then it's like not something they want to share, because remember, they are in a juvenile state. You know, kids will share for a while and then all of a sudden they're like, no, like I want this to myself. Like I've shared long enough. And they just want the adoration to themselves or the acknowledgement. They need affirmation. They push us away, so we come towards them. It's that push-pull stuff. And sometimes they don't even necessarily want to be with us. They just want to be adored by us. They want to be missed by us. It's just the ego stroke. And if we're not giving them that ego stroke, they'll kind of hoover us, not because they miss us, but because they want us to miss them. They want to be king of the world or queen of the world, whatever the role is for them. So please comment below, like and subscribe, and definitely watch the other ones on what damage can be done to us. It's physical, it's actual brain damage. So big hugs, and I'll see you in the next video.